Hi, welcome to Sabribra. My name is Sabrina, and I'm an experienced certified bra fitter. I've also worked as an account executive with a luxury lingerie company, and I am currently the manager of a luxury lingerie boutique. And today is the third installment of my planned three-part series talking about the different types of bras. So if you haven't watched my first two, please go check them out. This video, we're going to be discussing, as I've mentioned, my personal favorite styles of bras, which are cut and sewn, and we'll do a nice little deep dive on those. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our next style of bra is what I would call a cut and sewn bra. This is what I typically tend to wear. Cut and sewn bras offer a lot of extra support compared to those fully seamless bras, which might to some people seem counterintuitive. So this is a cut and sewn bra, or a seamed bra, depending on who you ask. It can be called different things. But ultimately, there are seams within the bra cup, okay? Now what seams do is they create shape and support. So as somebody who trained in fashion design, I have sewn lots of garments. I trained on how to make pieces of clothing and design patterns. The more seams within a garment typically means the more structure and the more support and the more tailoring that goes into a piece. So this bra has 3 panels, okay? It has 2 different main seams on the bra, okay? You might see different amounts of seams on different bras. Typically, a cut and sewn bra is usually 4 pieces, unless they're adding extra pieces for fashion. But you'll typically want to see at least 3 seams for having really appropriate structure in a bra. So different seams offer different things. There's this seam that goes right up the center here. So that's going right here, and that's going to create lift. If you have that beautiful seam right here, it's going to lift up your bust, which is what most of us want. Most of us want a little bit of lift and support, and that's what this is going to offer. It also has this beautiful side seam here, and that's creating the shape that goes around your bust. This particular one kind of angles up towards the strap. There's other ones that go more straight across. They offer slightly different things, but it's creating the shape in your body. The more seams and the more darts and things like that in a garment, the more it can shape to your body. So in my experience as a fitter, typically people are resistant to having cut and sewn bras because they don't want the seams showing underneath their clothing, and they also are afraid of lace sometimes, and they also often think that it's not going to be supportive, which is the exact opposite of what a cut and sewn bra does, like I explained. So a lot of people will come into a store looking for that traditional molded cut bra, and they end up leaving with something that looks more like this. Now, this is white, so maybe people won't live with white bras because it might show underneath white and light colors, but just the general cut of a bra like this is what a lot of people end up leaving a store with after getting a more proper boutique style fit. And that's because it offers support, and you can often get people in much bigger bust sizes to wear one of these that fits them properly. And it's gonna have that more custom fit, right? So it's gonna actually tailor to your body a little bit more. Now, of course, just because it has seams in it doesn't mean it's going to fit you. You need to find the right shape within the bra, the right type of cut. Some brands will have low necks versus full cups versus plunges versus high apex bras. There's all different types of bras within the seamed bras, but just in general, a seamed bra is going to offer you way more options and a much better fit than a molded cup. So that's something to really consider when you are going shopping. The thing that you might be most afraid of might be the thing that you love. My first experience wearing a seamed bra, I was so scared of it. I didn't want my nipples to show. I didn't want seams in my bra to show on my clothes. And now it's almost exclusively what I wear. I almost never wear a molded cup. or a spacer bra. I have worn them, I own a couple. I just don't tend to wear them. I find them to be too much bra. I find them not as breathable. I find them not as pretty. And I find them as just not as supportive, which when you're a fuller bust babe like myself, you need to have supportive bras. And you often will feel a lot more comfortable, and you might have more back relief or shoulder relief, or just the relief that your clothes actually fit you for once, which when you're in the wrong bra, all those things can kind of seem a little bit impossible. So would highly recommend not disregarding a seamed bra. There are different amounts of seams you can see. This particular bra here would be a 2-part cup. It's primarily seamless on the actual bra, and then it has a single seam right here to offer a little bit of fullness up here, which tailors the bra a little bit closer to the body, but also allows for a fuller bust lady to have more coverage. Where traditionally having a fully seamless bra might not offer as much shape up top, this offers a little bit more shaping while still getting a pretty seamless experience, because where this seam is placed is really high up, and most people's clothing won't show that. So that's something to consider as well. You won't see 2-part cups as often. If you're seeing a seamed bra, it's typically going to be a 3-part cup or more. You don't usually see 4-part cups, like I said. You'll usually see a 3-part cup. But this is an option sometimes. Sometimes you'll also see very simple bras or bralettes have a single seam, either across or up and down, things like that. You don't see those as often, and they're typically in much less supportive bras, like bralettes. So that's something to just think about when you're looking at them. But a really great option as well. I'm gonna get a little bit more in depth about the different type of cut and sewn options that are out there. So I sort of explained that there are maybe full cup options and low cup options. So I'm gonna take the same style of bra, but one is the full cup version and one is the low cup version. And I'll sort of show the different ways that the shape is created and the look is created. So this is a full cup option, okay? You can see it kind of comes up quite a bit higher compared to its low neck version, okay? This does not come up as high. This almost creates a balcony style or balconette. There's different ways people will say it, but balcony or balconette tends to be ones that come a little bit more straight across or don't come up as high. There are the more like traditional balconette that is really straight across. This is a little bit higher, but it doesn't come up high like the full cup version does. So this, you can see, creates a triangle shape. It doesn't create a straight across balcony type look. The seams in this are a little bit different. So this one, the seam placement is very similar compared to some full cup versus low neck, where this one does have that center seam that comes right up here, and then it also has that seam that goes kind of right across here. Now you can see that this one goes all the way across to under the armpit, okay? And then it's got that extra fabric here, okay? This one, on the other hand, has the same under the bust seam right here, creating that lift, but then it creates a different shape here where that second seam, you might be able to see it better from the inner part of the cup. That second seam goes into the strap instead of the armpit of the bra, okay? So that's something to consider, where it creates different shape and support, where this one doesn't come up as high, so it stops at the strap, where the other one, the seam goes a little bit lower and it has a full extra panel here, sort of like our 2-part cup had that extra panel at the top here to add a little bit more fullness. This one has that whole extra piece here that then attaches to the strap versus the seam going into the strap. This was just the whole panel, and the top of the panel went into the strap. Another version of this I will bring another full and low neck cup of the same cut or the same style, but with slightly different cut. So I brought back this beautiful white bra. So again, very similar to the last low neck that we just looked at. It has that beautiful supportive under bust seam here, and then that other seam that goes right into the strap, okay? Now this is the full cup version. Might be a little harder to see since it's a darker color. But this one has a seam that actually comes a little bit more off to the side and goes straight up here, okay? What that does is it creates side support. So it brings your breast inward versus this other one where it's just creating that lift. So this one has less of that lifting effect. Not that it doesn't lift, it still does, but what it's focusing on is bringing your breast tissue inward. So if you're finding that you look, I don't want to say wide, but if you're finding that your breasts come out of your side a little bit more and not as in line with your body, then you might want that side support if you want your bra to create the shape of your breast being more inward and more direct, okay? Not everybody wants that look, but if you do, that's a really great option. That's really something you'll see a lot more in bigger busted bras, because a lot of us have just so much breast that we need just a little bit more so it's not like hitting our arms when we walk, you know? So that creates that side support. And then the center seam does not go all the way up to the strap or off to the armpit. It actually stops at that side seam right there, right? So it's creating dimension here, but it's not creating the same shape here because we're getting that side support. So that's some different options that you might see in a full versus a low cup bra, and different types of seams you'll just see in a seamed bra in general. I've had a lot of people will call the low neck version a tulip cup. So just so you know the lingo, when you go into a boutique and are talking to an owner or a fitter, they might refer to it as that. Now the last style of bra I'm going to show you is not reliant on what's actually happening in the cup. This is what's happening in the band. So this is called a Longline. This is not the longest line you can find, but you can see the difference of how much this bra goes down. So this one goes down, what, like an inch or so? An inch, inch and a half. And that will go on your body here, okay? Some people love it, some people don't. I have this bra and I love it. I find it very comfortable. For me personally, just the way my body is, I find it flips a little bit in the middle, but it's not flipping up on this side, okay? This particular style has a super thick, soft band. That is an elastic here. That creates that long line effect, but that's also why we're not getting it to be down to here or down to here, which sometimes you'll see in a long line is that they come down further, depending on the style. Some it's just fashion, some it's practical. Some people love this because they feel like it's smoothing out their body tissue. Some people might call it back fat. I don't like referring it to as that, but some people will say it smooths out their back fat and they're not getting as many rolls. And that's great if that's what you're looking for, is that something like this can offer that because it has that much wider back compared to a more traditional bra that is a lot thinner in the back. So keep that in mind if that's what you're looking for, is a long line might be an option. Some people though do find that the long lines will roll up on their bodies. Personally, I've seen that more when you get a bra that has boning, which is like a rigid, I don't want to call it a rod, but it's either a piece of plastic or a piece of metal that goes in your bra here. You'll see them a lot in like normal bras that just offer a little bit of side support here, but you'll sometimes see that in long lines on the side, sometimes even here, which in theory is supposed to keep it firm to your body. In reality, typically it's cheap plastic used, and that just bends with your body compared to say a corset, which is typically, if you get a good quality one, will be a metal. Metal will tend to keep that rigidity and keep it down, while a plastic piece of boning will fold with the body, whether immediately or over time. That just tends to happen. So keep that in mind when you're looking at long lines. They can be really beautiful and just worn out like a top. Like, even though this is sheer, if you are really comfortable, you could, in theory, wear nipple pasties and go out and about like this. Or you can often find ones that have a little bit more coverage and less sheerness. And you can just wear this out with like a blazer, or out dancing or going to the club, or just out in the summer like a little crop top that has support. So just different ways that you can style it, or you can just wear it underneath your clothes and have that smoothing effect, or it just might make you feel really beautiful, because long lines are beautiful. They're gorgeous. They're like a piece of artwork, which to me, bras are already artwork, but there's something about a long line that's just so nice. Yeah, so those are some of the different types of really popular bras, and some of the ones that you might not see as often. Long lines have been popular recently, but they go in and out of style all the time, so you won't always be able to find them in store compared to just like a normal bra. Thank you so much for watching Sabri Bra. This is the third installment of the planned 3 video series talking about bra styles. This one, as you know, we just talked about cut and sewn. In the first 2, I talked about seamless options as well as multi-way options. There are definitely lots of other bras out there, so if you want me to make this a longer series, please let me know. There are options such as nursing bras and mastectomy and bralettes, and we can do a deeper dive on sports bras and things like that, wire-free. So if you want to know more about that, please let me know, and I can definitely look at making more videos in regards to that. Until then, please let me know what your favorite style of bra is and what style you want to try in the future. And let me know any other questions that you might have regarding bras. See you in the next one. Bye!